Daniel Packard, a mechanical engineer and CEO of the Full Liberation Technology, has dedicated over 8 years and over $1 million in R&D to develop a groundbreaking system that enables people to overcome what holds them back, achieving lasting happiness. With a deep understanding of human behavior and engineering principles, Daniel has helped thousands transform their lives quickly and permanently. And before we start this episode, a quick word from our sponsor, Deep Wealth, and the 90-day Deep Wealth Mastery Program. Here's Jane, a graduate, who says, and I quote, "The Deep Wealth Mastery Program prevented me from making what would have been one of the biggest mistakes of my career. I almost signed on the dotted line with an unsolicited offer that I now realize would have shortchanged my hard work and my future had I accepted that offer. Deep Wealth Mastery has tilted the playing field to my advantage." Or how about Lynn? Wow, he gets right to the point, and I quote, "Deep Wealth Mastery is one of the best investments ever made because you'll get an ROI of 100 times that. Anyone who doesn't go through this will lose millions." And as you're listening to these testimonials, are you wondering if you have the time? Are you even thinking that you've got this covered? You have the advisors or people in your network? Well, I got to tell you, these myths, they're often behind the 90% failure rate for liquidity events. Think about it. You have one chance to get it right for your financial freedom. You really want to make it count. And when it comes to time, let's hear what William has to say. We just got in this testimonial. William says, and I quote, "I didn't have the time for Deep Wealth Mastery, but I made the time and I'm glad I did. What I learned goes far beyond any other executive program or coach I've experienced." So what do you think? As I hear that, that's exactly what gets me out of bed every day. That's my mission. That's the team's mission here at Deep Wealth, to literally change the social fabric of society, one business owner at a time, one liquidity event at a time. And my Deep Wealth Nation, what I want you to know, the Deep Wealth Mastery Program, it isn't theory. It's from the trenches. It's the only one based on a 9-figure deal. And that deal, that was my deal. You know my story. I said no to a 7-figure offer. I created the system that later on, myself and my business partners, we said yes to a different buyer, a different offer, a 9-figure deal. That's what we now call the Deep Wealth Mastery Program, or the Scale for Ultimate Sales system. It's built by business owners for business owners. So if you're interested in growing your profits, for preparing for a future liquidity event, and that may be 2 years away, it could be 22 years away, whatever the time may be, you want to do this now, and you want to optimize your post-exit life. Deep Wealth Mastery is for you. To get started, email success@deepwealth.com. Again, that's success, SUCCESS, at deepwealth.com. You'll receive all the information about the Deep Wealth Mastery Program, or better yet, why not hop on a complimentary strategy call? We'll go through exactly where your business is today and what's standing between you and your financial independence and your dreams. So that's where you want to be. You want to be with other successful business owners, entrepreneurs, and founders just like you. They're looking to grow their businesses, create market disruptions, and unlock their financial freedom to get what they deserve. And whether you've been in business for 3 years, 40 years, you're a startup, you're in manufacturing, you're in high tech, low tech, whatever the case may be, come on in and network with other business owners. It's a safe space. It's a confidential space with business owners, with businesses just like you, because they all want to lock in their financial freedom and enjoy both success and fulfillment. So again, the 90-day Deep Wealth Mastery Program, it has your name on it. All you need to do is take the next step. Please send an email to success@deepwealth.com. Deep Wealth Nation, welcome to another episode of the Deep Wealth Podcast. And I have a few questions for you before we start off. Have you ever been in a situation where you should have won that situation hands down? It could be on the personal side. It could be on the business side. You're giving a huge presentation, but you walk away and not only did you not do your best, someone else stepped up and took first place. And you're just kicking yourself. What happened? I don't understand it. I don't get it. Or are you really out there? You should be celebrating. You should be happy. You should be feeling fulfilled. And you're actually at the bottom end of it. You're feeling terrible. It's frustrating for you. You are miserable. You don't know why. We're going to be stepping forward today with an incredible guest who's going to walk us through not only what is going on in a way that you've never heard before, but what you can do about it in a very meaningful and rapid way. So that said, Daniel, welcome to the Deep Wealth Podcast. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us, a fellow entrepreneur, a thought leader, someone who is paying it forward and making a difference out there. And Daniel, I am always curious, what's your story? What got you from where you were to where you are today?
First of all, that was a heck of an intro. I was listening to it thinking, who is this guy? I want to listen to this podcast. And I thought, oh, it's us. So that was a great tee up. And I'm going to tell my story because I think it's important and it'll explain the value of what I'm going to share on this wonderful episode with you, which is exactly what you talked about. It's this hidden why and how to be happier, more successful very quickly in a way they haven't heard before. But first, I just want to be really clear with your audience what I want to share with them, because these are busy people, these are business owners, these are leaders, and their time is valuable. And I always like to share with people the value. Why would you give me your time? And the podcast is called Deep Wealth. And what I'm going to be sharing with you is a circuitous way to allow you to be wealthier faster that has nothing to do with money or business. What do I mean by that? What I'm going to be sharing with your audience is a way to be completely free of things that can keep us from wealth, either financial wealth or just happiness wealth. And that is, I work with a lot of successful, wealthy people or leaders, and no matter what they do, no matter how much they make, often there is something which in our company we call the funky five. It can be anxiety, procrastination, people pleasing, perfectionism, low confidence. And low confidence can be fear of rejection, fear of failure, feeling not good enough, needing people to like you. And these things, as your audience knows, will either slow you down in your path to wealth, or if you have wealth, it will keep you from really enjoying that money. I work with a lot of people who are wealthy and, spoiler alert, not happy. I know, shocking. Money didn't buy you happiness, but it's these needing people to like you, the constant anxiety that keeps them real joy. So if any of these funky five is slowing you down, or you become wealthy and you can see that you're not as happy and the person you want to be because of anxiety, procrastination, people pleasing, perfectionism, or low confidence, I'm going to show you an innovative approach such that you can be free of it permanently, quickly, in a way that's simple and mechanical. And that word is key. And this is why this matters. Most people, when they go looking for help, have an approach that's either spiritual, psychological, or personal development. And those approaches have a lot of value. However, they're not great for getting fast, permanent results where the symptom is gone. To do that, we found that an approach that really works is an approach that's mechanical. And here's what I mean by that. Okay, let's just say, I don't know, God forbid, I'm saying this to you, Jeffrey, and your audience. You're out to dinner and you start choking. And two people walk up to you. One person walks up to you and says, "Oh, I see you're struggling. Wow, well, I think you have a real scarcity mindset around air. I think you're really focusing on your lack of air instead of the abundance of air. And honestly, I feel like you don't believe in yourself. I don't feel like you don't believe that you are a great breather. And I also think your ego is attached to breathing. And I want you to just surrender and open up to your breathing greatness." Okay. Or somebody walks up and goes, "Actually, this is a mechanical issue. You have a windpipe. It is mechanically blocked. And I'm going to add mechanical pressure to your stomach, which will put air behind the blockage and ideally pop it out, and air will mechanically get into your lungs and you will live in about 10 seconds. If you want a fast, reliable, quick, simple solution, do you want help that is psychological, spiritual, or mechanical?
Exactly. Hey, give me that breath of air coming through the mechanical methodology. I am there. I'm with you. I'm going to live. And as you're talking about that, Daniel, I mean, my goodness, there is so much noise out there in the marketplace. But I want to take you back to just a moment to really my story, which is so representative of so many other entrepreneurs that have gone through Deep Wealth Mastery or in the Deep Wealth community. I've been in situations in my life where there were not any zeros in the bank. I'm talking, oh my goodness, if I can't figure something out, who knows what's going to happen on the financial side, because there isn't the money to cover that. And then I've been on the flip side of that where there's an abundance. But very specifically, what I'm thinking about is the day before my 9-figure deal closed and then the day after. And what's amazing is time can make all the difference. And certainly from the bank account perspective, that was a big difference. There was many zeros from before and after. But I got to tell you, the day after everything closed, I was still the same Jeffrey. And I remember very distinctly, I woke up, okay, the thrill of the deal, it all rushed through my mind. First, I pinched myself. Was I dreaming? Did this really happen? Yes, it did happen. Okay, wonderful. But after that ecstasy wore off, and it didn't take very long, it was then still the same morning. Oh my goodness, I'm still the same Jeffrey. I still have the same hopes, the same fears. And I know some people listening are saying, well, Jeffrey, it's easy for you to say because you're now on the other side of that. You have some financial freedom and independence, and it's everyone who has that. It's easy for them to say, but I got to tell you, having been on both sides, I can say definitively to your point, Daniel, money, yes, it can lubricate life. Yes, it makes life better. It makes life easier. It does not give fulfillment. It does not give happiness. You cannot buy that. So let me ask you this. Let's set the stage for Deep Wealth Nation. What's going on out there? Because I know in our 90-day Deep Wealth Mastery program, we debunk so many myths that are put out there of how do you grow a business? How do you grow your profits? How do you later sell that business or raise capital? So many myths out there, really lies. I'm being polite with that. What's going on when it comes to our inner game, our mental game, which really our inner thoughts, our inner world, that is what we manifest in our outer world. So if we don't get it right internally, we're not going to get it right externally. What's going on? Why have we been so far off the path?
Well, it's a very good point, and there is a lot of noise out there. And whether you call it lies or just incomplete information, the point is it's people who want to be happier and change and grow. It's not very effective. And I'm going to be sharing with you an answer to your question. But because there's so many people out there saying, I have the answer, I know what's going on, it's this, it's that, and your audience knows, man, you talk a good game, but does it deliver? I want to explain my story, where I came from and my company came from, so that your audience can understand that what I'm going to be sharing with them has been tested and the intention for where it comes from. And the results that we're getting people is so innovative that people are skeptical. And I like to tell my story and the story of my company because it will help move people from skepticism to doubt. Is that okay?
Let's do it. Absolutely.
So the passion of my company, Full Liberation Technology, is results. We're all about getting people results. Permanent results, meaning the symptoms that are holding you back are gone. The anxiety, the procrastination, the low confidence, the overthinking, it's gone in a matter of weeks. And measurable results. When we help people, when you start our programs, you measure. We give you baseline measurements, and you measure twice a day with these emotional biomarkers in our app. So we're tracking data so that we know that by the end, we have helped you. And also, and I think this is important because people appreciate results. There's 1 million coaches and therapists in the planet, approximately. We're the only personal development company in the world where we do not charge you at the beginning because we haven't helped you yet. We haven't gotten you a result. We charge you at the end once your symptom is either gone or measurably down in 6 weeks. And when people say, what? Nobody backs up their results like that. How do you do that? Well, let me explain to you why it's possible. It's because of our passion for results. And results matter to me because when I was a kid, my dad sat me down when I was about 10 and he just said, he was a physicist, he was a scientist. And he said, anybody can have a theory or an idea, but that's easy. He said, it's the person that gets results. That's the person you trust. And that's the person you listen to. And he said something that stuck with me. And I think it's important. He said, results matter. And that stuck with me, that you got to get the result. It's the result, not who sounds good or has the shiny, who's getting results. And I was fortunate enough that my dad let me use his workshop in our basement. And it fostered this inventor in me. And I would go into that workshop and I would invent little things that got results. And I had a talent for it, for innovation, for invention, and getting results. So I go to engineering school to be properly and professionally trained to look at complex problems that seem unsolvable, break them down into mechanical pieces, and then come up with a theory. But it's just a theory. Then what do? You build a prototype. And then what do? You test it for results. And it never works in the beginning. That's fine. You iterate, you refine, you test, you calibrate until you've innovated something that solves the problem and gets consistent results. It's a certain mindset. It's a certain approach that certain people have. Innovators, engineers, problem solvers. Now, the good news was I knew how to make machines work and I was good at it. The bad news was nowhere in college did they teach me how to make life work. And so I knew how to make a robot that played ping pong, but I had anxiety, I had procrastination, I had people pleasing, perfectionism, low confidence, and I just was not the person I wanted to be. My relationships were affected. Even when I was successful, I wasn't happy, and I could feel it was within me. But when I went looking for help, the coaches, the therapists, the psychologists, the gurus, the teachers, I spent $100,000, 10 years. I got insights, I got awareness, I got some tips and tools to make it better. But I looked at it from a results perspective and I said, is this good results? $100,000 and I'm still doing this? And I just had this sad realization of this, what I call the $1 trillion improvement industrial complex. It doesn't get great results. It's not fast. It's not measurable. It's not permanent. And I had this real sad, angry moment where I looked up to God and I just looked up at the sky and I was just pissed. And I just said, what do you want from me? I get this as a test. I'm supposed to learn something and then I get the riches of life. What's the test? I've been at this 10 years. What's the test? And I was just being rhetorically angry. I didn't really expect an answer, but I heard this response in my soul, and it was, results matter. And I saw that everything I tried didn't get great results and that I was a good results getter. I was an engineer. I knew how to problem solve. And I said, maybe I can innovate this industry and get people better results. So I started my own research company, Full Liberation Technology, with the mandate, the mission to see, could we use engineering? Could we reverse engineer an understanding and a process to allow people, myself included, to be free of the things that hold us back, the anxiety, the procrastination, the people pleasing, caring what people think of us, the overthinking, our past, reliably in a way that's simple and permanent and fast. It took 8 years. It took $1 million in R&D. It was not easy, but that's the thing with inventors and engineers. We just go at it. We just go at it till we solve it. And I'll explain to your audience what we discovered that allows us to pull off our mission. But also, it's been 9 years. I've been chill as a cucumber, no anxiety. I really, on a cellular level, do not care what people think of me. I feel fully good enough. I can't procrastinate if I tried. Perfection, it's like it's gone. And that allows me to be that happy person that I want to be all the time because it's permanent. I'm free of it's real freedom. And that is the value I want to bring to your audience. I'm going to explain to them how this is even possible. But first, I just want to be really clear in what we're trying to bring the world is fast, permanent freedom to be wealthy, both in the amount of money you have and just wealthy in spirit and soul. Sound good?
It does, but hold on. You said a lot there. Let me start to unpack some of this. Let me get this straight. I'm going to round up a little bit, but not much. You spent a decade of your life, $1 million, and now you developed a system that from a mental health perspective, and you're going to go into this, but whether it's anxiety, whether it's addictions, whether it's other kinds of things, you are saying, hey, come to my 3-star Michelin restaurant. It doesn't get any better. I want you to come in. You're going to have that 13-course meal. If you don't like it, you just walk out that door. You're not going to pay me a cent. Only if you're 100% satisfied, you liked every single dish, then you can pay me. But if you don't, hey, I'm not even going to ask for your credit card up front. And we are going to have you sit down at the table. You're going to enjoy impeccable service, this incredible meal, like nothing you've ever done before. And then you'll tell me what you think. And if you like it, terrific. And if not, that's okay too. Am I getting all that right?
Close. And it's 3 stars, not in that it's fancy. It's 3 stars and that it just works. It's more like a gym. A gym ain't fancy, but guess what? A gym works. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your past is. I don't care your faith, your skin color, how many limbs you have. If you walk into a gym and you touch those exercises, your muscles are stronger. It's not transformation. It's not enlightenment. It just works all the time. And this isn't sexy, but people want something that's simple and just works. That's what we're doing. It's not a fancy restaurant, but it's fancy in that if you've tried things in the past that don't solve anything and get you fast, permanent results, yes, it is a 3. It's probably a 4-star. I have a gentleman who owns a 50-person company, a millionaire, on all measurement, successful life. Not happy. Marriage is struggling. He still procrastinates. He doesn't like who he sees in the mirror. He still needs people to like him. And he said, Daniel, this sucks. It sucked when I was this way when I was poor. It really sucks when I'm rich because I've got it all and I'm not happy. He said, I've gone to coaches and therapists and there's this stuff and I can't get rid of it. And it's its own form of torture when you're wealthy and miserable. And I said, I know. And he said, but I met somebody at a conference who explained what you do, that you measure results, that you back up results. You don't pay till the end when it works. He said, I'm skeptical, but I'll try it. He went through the program and about week 4, it's a 6-week program. Well, week 4, he sent me a really heartfelt message. And he just said, Daniel, I just woke up this morning and I felt real peace and joy for the first time in probably forever. And I am so grateful because now I can really enjoy my wealth. And that's the value of having something that just works and is simple and gets results. When you're in pain, you want results. And that's kind of our passion.
Got it. Okay. And I like what you said. You know what? Instead of focusing on the negative, we're going to focus on the positive. Peace, fulfillment, joy, happiness. And Deep Wealth Nation, as I say those words, are those an all but distant memory? Or are you really every day, you're going through that. And Daniel, I got to share, as I'm talking with you about this and I'm mentioning those words, I'm going through my mind, okay, who in my network, who in my friends, who in my family do I know, including myself, can I put there every single day? And I got to tell you, not a lot of fingers are going up here. There's not a lot of people that I know. And I also know, and hey, it's just not me. Again, let's go to, you may have heard of Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. And he says, hey, whatever you think mentally, whatever you think on the inside, that you're going to manifest that on the outside. And I know when I've gone through bouts of just not being happy or being miserable or whatever the case may be, everything suffers. The company suffers. My decision making suffers. My relationships with loved ones suffers. Not a great place to be. And now, if we're there day in, day out, wow. I mean, that is a bad recipe for really going through life, not living it the way that we were intended to live it. So, again, to understand, you took a decade of your life, $1 million, you came up with a system that's really getting results. Now, I got to ask this because I know someone in Deep Wealth Nation saying, okay, if this was so great, Daniel, if what you've done is so powerful, it just works, why haven't I heard of it before?
Well, it's a good question. And it's because what we did is an innovation. I'm an engineer, and engineers innovate. And the thing with innovations is they take a long time to catch on. The original inspiration for our company, the reason I thought it was even possible was because my mom, when I was a kid, told me the story of Florence Nightingale, this nurse in the 1860s who saw that more soldiers were dying in recovery than on the battlefield. And all the experts just said, don't worry about it. All the experts said there's nothing you can do about it. But she cared. I cared of like, this is bad results. More people are dying in recovery. And she just paid attention. She didn't ingest the legacy thinking. She wasn't an expert. She was just somebody who cared and paid attention. And she was the one that saw, oh, there's infection, and we can lower the infection if we open the windows, change the bandages, and move the soldiers away from the toilets. And this simple thing sitting right under the experts' noses dropped the death rate by 90%. You would think that would catch on. 30 years. It took 30 years for people to begin, because when things are innovative, the old thinking says no. It's challenging to people's egos and constructs, but also people reject simple. They think it has to be complicated. I hope 30 years from now, what we've discovered is just known. I'm going to explain. We want it in schools. We want it in organizations. It is helping people address the common problems that everybody's struggling with, but it's just much simpler, gets to the root cause, and it's easy to apply. And here's why. And this is kind of the inner mechanics lesson that I'm going to share with your audience. So I'm going to be sharing over the next 20 minutes or so the insights and the perceptual framework that our approach is based on, that allows people to get permanent results in a matter of weeks, such that they're free of their symptoms. However, it's just a perceptual framework. For people to really get this, at the end of this episode, I'm going to send people to my website, danielpackard.com, where they can download a 90-minute training called From Stuck to Unstoppable that does a deep dive into these materials that you can feel for yourself and experience for yourself, so that you can really see that what I'm saying is true and will give you hope. But also, we're going to teach you one of our techniques that we developed. And when you apply that technique, you will actually feel somewhat better. Now, it's not the same as the full 6-week program, but at least it will give you a result. We love our results in our company, and it's going to give you a result. Actually, Jeffrey, you went through the 90-minute training. What was just your experience from going through that 90 minutes, just to give the audience some context for what you experienced?
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. So Deep Wealth Nation, let me give you a bit of the backstory here. So the first time I spoke with Daniel, we got on the call, and I'm all set to do the podcast interview. Okay, Daniel, here's how it's going to go down. Here's what we're going to do. And then Daniel says, Jeffrey, just hold on a second. I've got a question for you. Would you be willing to go through this 90-minute session that I've created? It gives you a sense of what the 6-week program is all about. And if you would do that, I would really want to postpone our conversation, and then let's have us talk. So he was so confident in that, and he really didn't want to have that interview until I did that. And so it was, Jeffrey, fish or cut bait. And I said, okay, you're on, Daniel. Send it on, and I'm going to listen to it. I'm going to go through that. And so, Daniel, for the context of Deep Wealth Nation, you're speaking with someone here myself. I've done a deep dive on all different kinds of disciplines. I put myself under the microscope. I've been to all kinds of different coaches, life coaches, psychologists, you name it. If I can get that mental edge, I'm there. I've been doing that. I've really put the time, the effort, and also the investment in to do that. And Deep Health Nation, I got to tell you, I came out of those 90 minutes. I felt recharged. I felt really lighter. I felt energetic. I felt loving. Here's the thing though, this was in 90 minutes. And when I compare that to some of my other journeys, which took not 90 minutes, it took months, years, some of them even decades. And this was all in 90 minutes. So, yes, to your point, Daniel, what you put together, for starters, you shattered all the myths that are out there. And I began to understand why it is the way that it is. And there's no spoiler alerts here, but Deep Health Nation, I want you to imagine this for just a moment. You go to your doctor, you share what's going on. It could be mental, it could be physical, and more times than not, and this is not a slight against the medical profession, they're doing the best that they can with what they've been given. They write something on a script, you go to the pharmacy, you get your prescription, and off you go. Well, let's dig a little bit deeper. Not from the doctor side, but from big pharma side, this is a huge business model. It's a good business model for them. It's not a great life model for us. And so often when we have really, it's a one-time fix for a lifetime. That's a terrible business model. Who's going to want to do that? Daniel, you're doing it. Very few people would want to do it. And that's probably why you're not going to be the front page of your major newspaper, because it's not a business model here. Big pharma, big industry does not want people to know about what you're doing because it's so effective. So Deep Health Nation, full disclosure, went through the 90-minute session and it was a game changer for me.
Thank you for that. And I wanted Jeffrey to share his experience because, again, there's so many people out there saying we can help. And again, we're passionate about results. And so I wanted Jeffrey to share his results, but also, again, I'm going to be sharing now how you're able to be free of symptoms. But then again, at the end, go to danielpackard.com, get this 90-minute training and feel it for yourself. Get a result for yourself. We want to give people results. And you're 100% right. I know coaches. I know what they do. I've seen their results. They're making millions. We do fine. We more care about helping individuals. But we are not making what the others are making because you're in, you're out in 6 weeks. We don't want to see you again. If we've developed this program properly, it's solved and we don't make that much money. And people say, well, is there another? No, the whole point was to make one thing in, out, 6 weeks, be happier and more fulfilled. This whole thing of, I have this therapist and it's been 10 years now and they're really helping me. No 10 years. When you break your leg and you go to the doctor, not 10 years of exploring and peeling back layers of the onion. Your bone should be in one piece. It's in two pieces. They put on a cast. 8 weeks later, a mechanism fuses the bone. That's what we wanted. And we don't make the money that other people's make, but we didn't get into this to make money. We got into this to help people. So the money's in the management, but the satisfaction is in the solution. Can I get an amen, Jeffrey?
Amen, brother. Amen to that.
So let me explain to you why this is even possible. And this will just be illuminating to your audience. And it's a very simple way to look at things that will help your audience feel less broken and less trapped and give them hope. So the first insight that we got into helping people more effectively was we looked at this $1 trillion industry, therapy, psychology, personal development, and we said two things. One, not getting great results, not even measuring results, not even backing up their results. That's suspicious. B, really confusing. There's all these coaches and therapists and teachers telling stuff. Is it your synaptic pathways? Is it your mindset? Is it your trauma? Is it your past? Is it society? Is it your gender? Is it your hormones? Should I do an ice bucket challenge? Should I walk on fire? Should I lick a frog? Should I do ayahuasca? Should I meditate? Should I believe in myself? Should I vision board? Should I not? It's just all this stuff. And all of it has some truth, but it's unclear what to do. And no, it's confusing. Would you agree that it's at the very least confusing and unclear?
Oh, it's confusing. It is a never-ending twist and turn, go through this rabbit hole and that rabbit hole, and I walk out confused and tired. Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's just what we accept. But we're engineers. And we said, well, wait a minute. If you really know what you're talking about, you can make it simple. If you look at the great scientific minds, they made complicated things simple. Newton is famous for taking all of motion on planet Earth and getting it down to 3 laws. Simple. But he had a very high level understanding. Einstein takes his very complicated concepts, E equals MC squared. The innovation is when you can take the complex simple. So we said, well, first of all, let's innovate by getting a simple understanding. So here's inner mechanics lesson number 1 to your audience to simplify things. We are taught, and it feels like we have multiple problems. meaning it feels like, oh, I struggle with anxiety. I have people pleasing. Oh, I'm a perfectionist. I'm a procrastinator. I have low confidence. It feels like we have multiple problems. And we're also sold different packages, different coaches, different experts telling us they'll solve our different problems. In reality, you do not have multiple problems. You have multiple symptoms of one singular thing, is fear. Let me say that again. You do not have multiple problems. You have multiple symptoms of one root cause, which is fear. What does that mean? Well, you could say you have anxiety, or you could say you're just really afraid and you call that high level of fear anxiety. You could say you are a perfectionist, or you could say I have a fear of making a mistake and I need things to be perfect. You could say you're a procrastinator, or you could say you have a fear of starting or finishing things. You could say you're a people pleaser, or you could say you have a fear people won't like you, so you put everybody else's needs ahead of your own. And you could say you lack confidence, or you could say you have a fear of being your true, authentic self. So, Jeffrey, and to your audience, can you see that really, intuitively and simply, we don't have different problems, but different symptoms of fear? And can you see why that's a simpler understanding?
Wow. Okay. So let me get this straight. And not to confuse simple with simplicity, a decade of research, $1 million later, what I'm hearing you say, Daniel, is all these different labels that we're given, all these different quote unquote conditions that we're told we have, it's all from the same root cause. Another F word, fear. How am I doing with this? On base, off base?
It's completely on base. And when you tell people that, most people get that. They go, oh, it makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Even just people say, oh, I'm hiding in my comfort zone. What do you think you're hiding from? Fear. Well, yes. And most people will sort of go, yeah, I have some fear, some doubt, some anxiety. The insight is that's what's going on, but that's not what we're taught. We're taught you have anxiety or you have that's the symptom level. So you're never going to solve it. And that's why these people make a lot of money. It's why people get stuck in these patterns, because they're sent to the symptom level. And I'm here to tell you, when you're sent to the symptom level, you can't solve it. It's not because you're broken, not because you're trapped, not because you can't change. The experts, while well-intentioned, sent you to the symptom level, and you were never going to solve it. So when people say, well, how do you have this 90% success rate? That's impossible. No, it's not. If you go to the actual root cause, it's actually a heck of a lot easier. So to your audience, I want to let you know, you do not have multiple problems. You have multiple symptoms, which is fear. Now, I'm going to explain to you the real reason you're afraid that you have not heard before, that the experts didn't tell you, that allow you to be free of limiting fear. But first, I just want to be clear, struggle that we have is much simpler and more solvable when you go to the root cause. Make sense?
Absolutely. We're going to get right, as the word says, we're going to get right to the root of it, the root issue, to figure out what's going on and what we can do about it. So please lead the way, Daniel. What's going on here?
Okay. Well, you mentioned myths. And part of the reason people stay stuck is that the experts have everybody, I don't want to call it lies. I think they mean well, but they have an incomplete understanding because they don't care about results as much. And so a lot of misinformation. I don't think there's negative intent. But look, it took us 8 years, $1 million. We worked with addicts in South Africa. I worked with monks in India. I worked with athletes in the US, entrepreneurs in Europe. We spent a lot of time to figure this out. Your average coach, therapist, spiritual teacher, they're just going to regurgitate old information. That's easier. Take what's pre-existing, make some money off it, write some books, coach some people. Way easier. I get it. What we did was hard. But through that struggle, we saw something that the experts missed. It was simple. And that is the real source of fear. Because your audience already knows that they have some fear, some doubt, some worry. This is not a shocker. But they are told a myth about where the fear is coming from. The first myth about fear, it is not from your past, and it's not from what's going on in the outside world. That has an effect, but that's not what's causing the fear. Making the fear worse, but that's not the root cause. How do I know? I've worked with tons of clients who say, oh, I've been anxious and insecure since childhood. My dad was critical. I was like, I get it. I had a critical father, but that's not the root cause. And I show them what it is. The other myth, and this is the biggest one, we are taught by the experts that fear is a problem of the mind, that the root cause of fear is the mind. Now, it's true, the mind can say some scary negative things that can affect you, absolutely. But is it the root cause? Is the mind the root cause? Well, it could be, except for one important bit of information. The whole mind-based approach, meaning quiet your mindset, change your scarcity thinking, quiet the ego in your mind, even mental health has the word mental right in there. Cognitive behavioral therapy, cognition. Okay, one problem. The mind-based approach doesn't solve anything quickly. Health has been around for 100 years. Anxiety is on the rise. Depression's on the rise. Addiction's on the rise. So if they were really in the right location, they'd be getting better results. So the engineers, we just wanted to solve this and innovate. And we said, what if it's not coming from the mind? And what we discovered is that the root cause of fear is not the mind. The scary negative mind is also a symptom of where fear actually originates. The root cause of fear is not the mind. It is the body. When you feel anxious, you do not say, I think anxious, I feel anxious. When you feel fear, you do not say, I think fear. You say, I feel fear. Where do you feel it? Chest, heart, throat, stomach. Does that sound like the mind to you or more like the body?
Okay, I hear you on that. And yes, what you're saying, I agree with that. Let's take a step back, though, because for many people, as we're hearing this, and again, Deep Health Nation, I've had a chance for this to sink in. I've had multiple conversations with Daniel offline, and I'm sure you're saying, wait a minute, Daniel, what do you mean it's not the mind? I've been told my entire life, hey, it's my mind, it's my thoughts, everything that's going there, that's really where it's coming from. And you're saying, no, actually, it's the physical body. So walk us through that a little bit more, just so we can get really a grasp on what's going on there. What have we been missing all this time?
Well, you were missing it because the experts told you that. And it look, the mind can say some negative, scary things. So it looks like that's where the root cause is. You feel anxiety and doubt and insecurity and you're procrastinating. There are negative thoughts in the mind. The experts tell you it's a mind problem. Change your mindset, change your scarcity thinking. So you trust them. The only problem is it gets crappy results. And also, if you stop and challenge these beliefs, you can see right away it's the body, because this is not theory. This is the way that we're wired. The body sends signals in the body of what the body needs to stay alive. Then the mind is like a little computer to get the body what it needs. You feel hunger in the body first. The mind senses the hunger. Then the mind figures out how to get food. Body first, mind second. If you're in the forest and you hear a sound in the bushes, you'll feel that fear in the body first. Then the mind goes, oh, there's a threat. We need to handle this threat. So we're wired body first, mind second. So for reasons which I'll explain to your audience, you're doing something every day that you don't know you're doing that's making your body feel like there's fear. Then your mind senses that fear and goes, oh, there's a problem. And then it starts spinning, saying the problem is you. You're going to lose your money. You're going to get sick. You suck. You better not start. You better not finish. And then the mind starts chattering, which gets you stuck in a loop. Yes. But where did the fear originate? In the body. And your audience knows this on some level, because anybody that meditates or does breath work, you calm the body and often the mind then quiets. Have you ever noticed that when you're calmer, usually your mind is quieter, and usually when you feel more anxiety, doubt, and fear, usually your mind starts spinning? Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah, absolutely. All too often, actually.
So what does that suggest? Which is the root cause? The body and the mind follows, or it's mind first and body second?
Yeah, clearly it's really, from how you're describing it and what you're sharing with us, what you found, it's the body, which then in turn, that's what manifests into the mind.
100%. But you said clearly, it is clearly, once you stop and think about it. Also, this body-based approach is how we're getting a 90% success rate. It's how we're able to charge at the end when we get results, because we know we're going to get results. Why? Because we're in the actual root cause location. And it's clear. It's simple. But that's not what's being taught. So I want to tell your audience again, the reason you can't always quiet your mind, the reason you have that negative mindset, and even if you change it to positive, what does it do? It goes back to negative. You can't ever fully stop it. You can manage it. But as long as that body feels fear, doubt, and anxiety, your mind is always going to think there's a problem and try to solve the problem. That's why you can't get your mind to shut up. It's why your mind will stay in negative, because the body's telling you there's a problem. So your mind is, okay, I better find the problem. I'm telling your audience this. The reason you haven't solved these symptoms is because you were sent to the wrong location by well-meaning experts who had an incomplete understanding and didn't want to solve this. The way we're able to get these results, it's not fancy. I'm not a wizard. There's no magical spell. We just went to the actual location of the fear. Can you see that our success rate is going to go up once we go to the right location of the problem?
Well, absolutely. And what's interesting about this, you are focusing on the end outcome, and really any successful system. That's where you begin. I know when you come to Deep Wealth with the Deep Wealth Mastery Program, we're not asking, hey, where are you right now? And let's focus on where you are right now. It's no, Where do you want to be? Let's talk about the ultimate goal. And then once we have that in mind, we're going to figure out a very specific and customized roadmap for you to be able to get there. You're doing the same thing. Hey, Jeffrey, you want to be happy, right? You want to feel fulfilled. You want to feel joyful. Well, guess what? We know how, and we're now going to work with you in your specific circumstances to get you there. So, right out of the gates, you're very different than what we're hearing. Oh, Jeffrey, here's a piece of paper. Go take a prescription, and I'm not going to guarantee anything other than you're just going to feel different. Well, what about the side effects? Well, you'll just have to deal with that for life, but just figure it out is better than how you're feeling right now, isn't it? Wow, what a different narrative that we're talking about here.
It is, and it's a different narrative, and it's a narrative that applies to a lot of things, meaning there's a lot of people that get great results that do go to the root cause. If you hire a contractor and your house has a shoddy foundation, they're going to go to the foundation first. If you go to a dentist and you need a root canal, nobody says, you know what, do some visualization. They're going to heal the root cause. A lot of people that get good results actually do go to the root cause because they know how. If you take your car to a mechanic and the spark plugs aren't working, they don't sit here and say, you know what, let's do some visualization and really empower your car. They're like, no, root cause, spark plugs, let's fix it. Why? Because they actually understand the system well enough. But then when it comes to this $1 trillion improvement industrial complex, these people are just selling symptom management, and it doesn't bother them. It doesn't bother them. They don't track results. They don't measure results. But my dad told me results matter. So our whole approach and our passion was get to the root cause quickly and simply. And again, I'll explain to your audience why your nervous system, why your body is malfunctioning. But again, get the training at the end. That's where you can feel this really for yourself and have a real deep experience and get that result. Because when you feel it, you'll go, oh my God, this is true. And I had a gentleman, business owner, he had an architectural firm. He's from Vancouver, and he had procrastination, anxiety, and a bit of people pleasing. And he was successful, good marriage, business was good. But he's Daniel, I know this stuff is holding me back. I know I'm not making as much as I could. I know I'm not enjoying work the way I could because the people pleasing and the perfectionism and also the procrastination, I put things off, which creates anxiety. And then I don't enjoy my work as much. And he said, but I'm telling you, I hired this coach for years, just management. And he said, I don't believe you can do this. I've had this my whole life. I know. But you were trained by people who didn't know how to get the root cause quickly or maybe even wanted to. So he started with this 90-minute training, and he was so convinced that he did the 6 weeks. And on the second week of the 6-week program, he just said, oh my God, I've been beating myself up this whole time that I was a procrastinator, that I was a perfectionist. I thought my brain was broken. I thought my dad messed me up when I was a kid, and he said, no, I was just sent to the wrong place. And when you go to the body and you actually address the root cause with a system, you can be free of this. And about 2 months after the program was over, he just said, I'm just enjoying life more. I'm making more money. I'm a better husband, and I feel free. And so these concepts, I'm telling you, yes, they're true, and we can back them up with the data, but it's what does this get you, which is real happiness, real joy, and real freedom, and real wealth.
So let me ask you this now. So we have spent quite a bit of time, or not spent, we've invested. That's a better word. We've invested quite a bit of time laying the foundation. Here's what we've established. Again, the medical establishment, no fault of their own. They're really a small cog in a very big wheel where the big pharma companies, billion, trillion, potentially dollar kinds of business models that are there, there's really no incentive to actually get a one-time cure out there. So we've established that. We've established that most people are looking in the wrong place. So if I'm digging for gold, as an example, if I'm not in the right area, I'm never going to find it, but I'm going to spend countless dollars and time and effort, all for naught. We've also established that you spent a decade of your life and $1 million to find a system that worked for you and has now worked for countless others. So we've got all that. So you now have a 6-week program, and as a special treat for Deep Wealth Nation, you're sharing, hey, go to the special link in Deep Wealth Nation. It'll be in the show notes. It's a point and click. You walk them through a 90-minute program. I've been through that. It's fabulous in terms of what it does and what it illuminates. Big picture-wise, though, when I come in for the 6-week program, what can you share with the Deep Wealth Nation of what should I expect? What's going on? What's a little bit of your secret sauce that you can share with us?
Well, I'm always communicating through the filter of the information I want people to know, to give them helpful, practical knowledge that gives them hope. And so here's what I'll say. The reason the program gets this incredible results is a couple things. One is it's very doable for busy people. It's 6 weeks long. There's 4 modules. Each module is 10 days. And you watch 2 hours of videos at the beginning of each module that explain to you the theory. And then there's a 30-minute video that walks you through a technique. And that technique you then do 4 minutes at a time, 5 minutes a day. It's not much. And what that is doing is it's bringing a part of your body back to health, which I'll explain in a bit, that's creating all the fear. So the reason it's so effective is because we built it in what is effective. And what do I mean by that? If you want to create fast, permanent change in anything, a business, the body, a garden, what you usually need is a system where usually you have multiple tools that are optimized to work together to get one job done. When you go to a mechanic, they have optimized toolkit to get car solutions done. If you hire a gardener, an optimized gardening toolkit. A gardener doesn't show up with a drill, and a gardener doesn't show up with a flamethrower or a fire extinguisher. They have an optimized toolkit. You go to a dentist, optimized toolkit. Your audience, when they went looking for help, usually from a therapist, coach, guru, they'll hand you a tool. Hey, here's one tool. Good luck. One tool is great for management, but you usually can't completely heal something with one tool. Then your audience tries it, fails, thinks they're broken and trapped and stuck. So the system works because it's all the tools in one place. But there's enough. So to all you people listening who tried an individual tool here, an individual tool there, that wasn't going to solve it. That would manage it, but you would never solve it. And that's why you still have these issues. Not because you're broken or trapped or can't change, because the experts did not set you up for success by not giving you a complete optimized toolkit, which we spent 8 years developing. The other important thing in the program that's not the special sauce, but sadly is special, is even if you have everything you need in one place, that's not a guarantee for success. Let's say you have a friend that wants to make chocolate chip cookies and you hand them everything they need. The tools, the whisk, the oven, the yeast, the flour, the sugar, everything they need to make a chocolate chip cookies. Your friend doesn't know how to bake. Will they be able to make a consistent chocolate chip cookie?
Yeah, of course not. A little bit
Why?
of a
What
loaded
are they
question.
missing?
I love those loaded questions. Yeah, no, of course not. Of course
What are they
not gonna be able to
missing?
do it. Oh, they're missing the know-how, the experience. And hey, let's forget the chocolate chip cookies. I don't know about you, Daniel, but when it comes to me and my life, I don't want to be the guinea pig in these really important areas, especially when other people have already gone down that path. They've spent the years, the decade figuring this out. I don't want to do the same. I want to really stand on the shoulders of giants.
Right. And so that's 100% right. What the person with the cookies is missing, what they need is instructions. The amount, how much flour, how much sugar, when do you put it in the oven, for what temperature, for how long, the instructions, what to do, when, for how long, and where. Without that, what do you eat the flour? What do you step inside? You have no idea. So your audience has been given tools by experts, but not a lot of simple, do this on this day, in this order, for this long. They don't know what they're doing. They try, they fail, it doesn't stick, and then they feel broken and they've spent a lot of money. The system has all the tools in one place and very easy to follow instructions so that you can't fail. And built into the program is one of the most important things, accountability. Your average online program, which this is, has a 15% finish rate. We have an 85% finish rate and a 90% success rate, meaning 9 out of 10 people that finish the program get permanent results. Why? Not magic, not special, all the tools in one place, easy to follow instructions. So that's what's in the program. Does that make sense why that's going to get better results than getting just an individual tool with no instructions?
Daniel, you said it right there. 85% success rate compared to maybe a 15% with all the other systems. I mean, right there, boom. If nothing else, you had me right there.
And here's where the system is going to address the fear. And I want to explain to your audience so that they know that this is possible. Once you go into the body, things get way simpler. People sometimes say, well, Daniel, how did you figure this out? Well, it was easier because we went to the body. What do I mean by that? The mind, nobody understands the mind. It's still like deep space in there. There's a million synaptic pathways and neurons. We're just beginning to figure out the mind. It's still very elusive. But the body, well, the body is pretty well mapped out, and the body is mechanical. Skeleton is mechanical. Lungs are mechanical. Heart's mechanical. Eyes mechanical. It's all mechanics, and engineers love this, systems. It's all just systems working together. So as engineers, we just said, okay, maybe there's a system in the body that's creating all this fear. And if we can find the system, maybe it's malfunctioning and we can repair it. So that's what we've done. And do you want to know the system that is creating the fear?
Bring it on, Daniel.
You
Bring
want
it
the
on.
answer to be complicated or simple?
I want, yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
All
Bring it
right.
on.
Again, this is so simple. When we figured it out and when clients see it, they're like, I cannot believe my coach and therapist did not figure this out. Okay. Again, we want to keep things simple. Take out the word anxiety, take out the word doubt, fear, take that word out and swap it in for nervous. Okay. Let's just say the average human is being held back in multiple areas, experiencing different levels of nervousness. A lot of nervousness, you can call it anxiety. Medium nervousness, you can call it doubt. High level nervousness, you could call insecurity, fear of public speaking. That nervousness will create the procrastination, the people pleasing, the perfectionism. So let's just say the word nervous is messing everybody up.
Okay.
What system in the body, and I say this to you, Jeffrey, and your audience, what system in the body do you think is most likely malfunctioning and creating this nervousness? Do you think it's A, the skeletal system, B, the coronary system, or C, wait for it, the nervous system? What do you think?
I get a lifeline. Can I call somebody here?
You can, but you don't need it.
I'm going to say the nervous system.
Yes. And I know your audience got that. And why'd you say the nervous system?
Well, aside from you hinting from that, nervous system, nervous, it all ties in together, how we're feeling, where it's coming from.
Yeah. Is that complicated or simple?
Couldn't be simpler.
Couldn't be simpler. Check this out, man. You've got the whole planet walking around with different symptoms of nervousness, from the procrastination, the anxiety, ADHD, OCD. We had a client come through with Parkinson's. He saw that was also just fear showing up in it. We're feeling nervous. There's a system in the body that's literally got the word nervous right in there. And after 100 years of suspect results, the experts are like, no, this is a problem of the mind. No, you guys, it's not. And you should have been a clue by your crap results and that there was a system in the body that had the word nervous right in there. Why didn't you go there? I don't know, but we did. We saw it was the nervous system. The nervous system is your body's natural threat response system. That's what it's supposed to do. If your nervous system is healthy, it doesn't feel like there's a threat, and you get to feel a word that people really want to feel. And that word is safe. If you feel safe, you don't have nervousness, fear, and worry, and you don't have the symptoms of anxiety, procrastination, people pleasing, and anxiety, because you just feel safe and calm. But if the nervous system is malfunctioning, which it is, you will then feel like there's a threat, even though there's not. And then when you feel threatened, you feel unsafe. When you feel unsafe, you feel this nervousness, the anxiety, the fear, which gives rise to the symptoms. So can you see that perhaps it's not that people have all these problems that are holding them back, but they are experiencing symptoms of a system in their body called the nervous system that's malfunctioning, making everybody nervous, and then creating these symptoms. Does that mechanically track?
It absolutely mechanically tracks. So really what we're hearing you say, what I'm hearing you say, and Jeffrey, again, on base, off base, you, your team, the studies, the science behind this, it's not the mind. It's coming specifically physically from the body, but specifically the nervous system. And we call it that F word, fear. That's where it's coming from. And maybe it's procrastination. Maybe it's being labeled as anxiety. Whatever the quote unquote label is, it all goes back to fear. And you've created a 6-week system. Whereas, again, it's all the understanding. If I know it, I can do it. Where in 6 weeks, you have an 85% or higher success rate. I'm going to come out of that, and I'm now going to really not dream about, but actually enjoy happiness and fulfillment and just that warm, bubbly feeling that perhaps was from yesteryear, but I'm going to have it now, not just today. If I choose to, I can have it every day. How am I doing with that?
You're doing great. But again, that sounds great, but I want to explain to you why. I mean, look, everybody wants what you said, but they've been promised that from other people and they didn't deliver. Here's why. Again, this is doable and not that hard to believe. If your nervous system is malfunctioning, it's malfunctioning for a very simple reason. It's not your childhood. It's not politics. It's not the government. It's not your ex. It's not your business. It's a simpler reason that everybody missed. It's so simple, people missed it. Every system in the body has one simple rule, which is that to take care of it. If you don't take care of it, it malfunctions. If you don't get enough sleep, if you don't brush and floss, if you don't drink enough water, if you don't eat properly, eventually those systems will malfunction. Now, we're taught basic hygiene of systems in our body: water, get enough vitamins, eat right, sleep right, and those systems run well. One little problem to you, Jeffrey, and your audience: did anybody ever tell you basic daily hygiene to keep your nervous system at tip-top shape? Were you ever taught how to take care of it?
Speaking for myself, data point of one, I'm sure I represent many people, though.
Never.
Never.
So the simple, where's all the fear coming from? The simple explanation, you just have a system in your body that you were never taught to take care of it. So eventually, just like any system, it's fallen into a state of disrepair. It's now like a root canal or a heart attack. And it's malfunctioning, cranking out nervousness, feels like there's a threat. The downside is there's 28 ways that people should take care of their nervous system every day. Nobody knows about the 28. The average person accidentally probably does about 5. But if you don't know the other 23, how can you do it? You can't. So when people download that free training at danielpackard.com, I'm going to send them also this list of 28 ways that you should be taking care of yourself. And when you see that list, you're going to think, oh my God, no wonder my nervous system is redlining. I haven't been taking care of it. So if you don't learn to take care of your nervous system, eventually it will start to crash. It'll feel fragile and you'll feel like a threat when there isn't one. And if you don't bring your nervous system back to full health and learn basic hygiene, it will stay injured and you'll always have the nervousness, fear, and anxiety and symptoms of it. You can manage it, but it will never go away. That's why a lot of people their whole life have this low level of fear. That's the downside. But if we understand the problem is just a symptom of little acts of unhealth to a system, and that's what's causing the problems. Why is that understanding good news if we want a simple way to fix this?
Yeah, no, it's so interesting. And Daniel, I don't want to oversimplify, but I want to give an analogy. And again, you can tell me, Jeffrey, on base or off base. Let's pretend for just a moment. We're going to imagine that there is a hammer and it's hitting my thumb. Every minute it's hitting my thumb and I'm feeling pain. I go to the medical system and they say, Jeffrey, you're feeling pain. Here's a prescription. Lo and behold, the pain, yes, it's being masked. It's gone, but the hammer is still there. And over time, it's only going to get worse. And we'll spare the gory details for this podcast, but we can just imagine what's going to happen to that finger where the hammer is coming down every minute. It'll go beyond pain. It'll just become debilitating and all kinds of negative things going on there. And so really, it sounds like that's really what's been happening out there. That's unfortunately the sad but true narrative. We're not being given the proper, I'm going to use prescription in the way that it should be used. We're not giving the proper prescription of how we can identify the root cause. And now that we've identified the root cause, here's how you go and fix it. And that's exactly what you're bringing to us. So now, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a family person, as a friend, a colleague, whatever the case may be, I am taking care of my whole health. And as we say here at Deep Wealth, it's our wealth. Our first wealth really is our health, or in other words, our health is our first wealth. And so you're allowing me to do that. I'm now a happier person, a better entrepreneur. When we started this whole conversation, I said, imagine that situation. Everyone's had them. You've just dropped the ball. You should have walked out victorious, but it was the opposite. And it all goes back to what we've been really, again, not maliciously, but potentially lied to. Well, it was your childhood. It was your parents. It was this incident. It was that incident. And we've never really had the tools to deal with it until now. How am I doing with that so far?
No, it's 100%. And again, the solution, again, it's important to understand. I want your audience to get that this is doable, that this isn't like witchcraft. It just makes logical sense if the root cause is that we just didn't take care of a system and little acts of unhealth have been accumulated. The reason this is good news is everything you said is possible just by switching from little acts of unhealth to health. It's not complicated. You don't have to be transformed, awakened, enlightened. If you don't take care of your diet, over time, mechanically, you will gain weight. It's a mechanical consequence of poor health. But then if you want to lose weight, it's not complicated. You don't have to say, oh, that's false fat appearing real. This is my fatty mindset. I'm going to let go of my, no, you just go from an unhealthy diet to a healthy diet. There's a mechanism in your body that burns the fat and you come back to health. It's simple. It's doable. So once you go to the body, your audience already knows these things can be repaired. When you break a bone, it's not 20 years of exploring your childhood. It's mechanical. You repair the bone. You can repair your nervous system. And when you do, you get to feel something that gives you access to everything you said, Jeffrey. And this is what you get. When your nervous system is healthy, because you've been brought it back to full health with the system we offer, instead of feeling unsafe, your default, how you wake up in the morning is just to feel safe. If you woke up every morning, I'm saying this to you, Jeffrey, and your audience, how would your life be better as a person, as a business owner, as a parent, as a spouse, if you woke up every morning and your default was to feel safe and calm and nothing could take that away from you? How would your life be better?
Oh my goodness. Where do I begin? I mean, every single area, it's that old, really, and we do this in the Deep Wealth Mastery Program. We say, hey, let's imagine what if. It's a good old what if scenario. What if thought experiment? What if you knew you could never fail? What if you knew that you would always be, and what we're talking about here, happy or loved or fill in the blank of what that is? It's that inner confidence that comes with that excitement, that hope.
And it's permanent. You're not working on it all the time. You're not having a negative mindset and then going back to a positive mindset. You're not freaking and then calming yourself down. You're just free of this stuff. Look at me. Look at me. Well, you can't. It's audio only. But I had crippling anxiety. I couldn't leave the house. I cared what people thought of me. Procrastination, people pleasing, perfectionism, caring what people, all of it is just gone now. I don't work on it. I don't have to do. And then I'm free. All this energy you see, this is not cocaine. This is the passion of a person that doesn't have limiting fear. It's just my default. People say, wow, you're such a happy person. No, I'm a non-scared person. And all of this is just a result and it's permanent. So this approach, go to the right location, the body, go to the system, keyword system, because systems are simple and reliable. That's malfunctioning, making people nervous, bring it back to health over 6 weeks. You feel safe. When you feel safe, the anxiety, the procrastination, the people pleasing, the perfection goes away. So not only are you more productive, but most importantly, the people that we help, they're so much happier. You cannot fulfill your potential and be truly joyful when you have low-level fear going on. It closes your heart. It messes you up. We're not built to be afraid all the time. And when you have that fear, it contracts you. It keeps you from your full you. You can't be as authentic. You can't be as free. You don't have as much energy. I just had a client who came through for perfectionism and he thought he had depression. He didn't have depression. When we lowered the fear is exhausting. Low-level fear all day long. What if you don't have depression? What if you're not lacking motivation? What if you're tired from decades of low-level fear? So when we lowered the fear because his nervous system got back, his energy came back, surprised his depression, which he never had lifted. He had so much more motivation and focus. So what we're giving people is a simple system that works, that gives you access to the life you really want to live, which is to not only be financially wealthy, but spiritually wealthy by just being happy. That's what we're giving people fast, quick access to.
And Deep Wealth Nation, before we go into wrap-up mode here, I want you to imagine for just a moment, I've been talking about this, Daniel's been talking about this as though it's me or it's you, but imagine for a moment now, it's your sales team, it's your customer service team, it's your frontline team, whoever it is, it's your entire company. And they now have this bubbliness about them, if I can use that word. They're just happy. And it's not the same blank, different day. They are inspired. They love what they're doing. That's why they came to your company the first time. It's their home away from home. They're going to be like that with your prospective customers, with your customers. And it takes your culture, and we talk about step 2 X factors, culture being foundational, to an entirely new level. Can you imagine the competitive advantage from that? That your entire team now has this skill set, which it's a time investment. It's not complicated. It's a time investment. The first time you learn to drive a car or ride a bike, it maybe felt complicated at the time, but it just became natural. You don't even think about it. Daniel, that's what I love of what's here today. It's not just for ourselves. It's for our family members. It's for our loved ones. It's for our team at the office. It's really deep reaching.
We have parents that struggle with anxiety and they have kids that struggle with anxiety, and it's just heartbreaking for them. And this happened 6 months ago. We had a woman from Florida. She was a real estate agent, and I think it was Karen or Carrie. It was Karen. Anyway, she said, not only do I have procrastination, it's affecting my job and my earning, but also I have anxiety. I'm passing it on to my kid, and it's heartbreaking. I said, I know. And I said, go through this and watch what happens with your kid. So she went through the program. About week 5, she reached out to me and she said, I am so grateful. Now, I knew from tracking her data that her anxiety was already down by 80%. Her procrastination was way down. Her productivity was way up. So I thought she was going to say thank you for that. She said, no. Today, my child came home. She said, my child got bullied today, but her child said, I didn't really care. And she said, what do you mean you don't care? You always get anxious and you freak out. She said, well, I've been watching what you've been doing with this program and I just applied what you learned and I didn't like being bullied, but it didn't affect me. So when you learn how to be healthy, you can model that for your kids. But also to go back to what you said with teams, I had a manager from Google go through a year ago. His productivity went up, his focus went up, his joy went up. So now we're building a model to get this into Google just because it's good business sense. And it's great for left brain people that are analytical and mechanical to have a quick, effective, measurable system that gets people what they want. So absolutely, this isn't just about you. It's about everybody around you.
And also, it's the peace of mind that I have for my family members who now have this, or my colleagues in the office that have this. And it really goes beyond words. And Deep Health Nation, I mean, wow, just think about that. This is a game changer. So all that said, I mean, my goodness, Daniel, we could go on for who knows how long. We've been at it for quite some time, and you've been illuminating us. Before we go into wrap-up mode, is there, well, I know there's many questions I didn't ask, but there's a particular question that I didn't ask, or is there a topic we haven't covered, or even a message that you'd like to share with the Deep Wealth Nation?
Thanks for asking. I mean, I really think I'm reiterating, but because the experts have an incomplete understanding of what's going on, because they are complacent and aren't looking for a real solution, they're not able to get your audience a fast, permanent solution that systematically addresses the root cause in a reliable, systematic way. So your audience has had these symptoms maybe their whole life. And it's when the experts tell you something and you fail, you think you're broken. You think there's something wrong with you. You think you have to live like this. And if you look at the world, most people have these patterns their whole life. So you start to think, well, I guess this is just my life. I guess I'll just have to keep white knuckling it, pushing through, spending more money. It's not your fault. It's the fault of the experts that you trusted, sold you things that weren't ever going to work that well. But I want your audience to know there is nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You're not trapped. This isn't your past. You simply have a system in your body called the nervous system that you were never taught to take care of. So it's malfunctioning, creating nervousness and all these symptoms. You were never taught to bring it back to health. So you couldn't. So you're stuck in these loops in the hamster wheel, not because you can't escape it. And there is a way out. If you go to the root cause, you find the system that's malfunctioning. You let us do the heavy lifting. We built this inner gym where if you work the steps, you get the result. And the result is that you feel safe and you are free of this stuff that's keeping you from joy. So my message to you is, unfortunately, what we're doing is innovative and most people don't know about it. This is early on. There was the guy, Ignaz Semmelweis, who figured out that the reason women were dying in childbirth was because they weren't washing their hands. He figured that out and women started surviving childbirth. It took, I think, 50 years for that to catch on. These simple innovations take forever and people die. So I'm telling you, this is an innovation. Be grateful you're hearing it early and take action. And the action I want you to take is to go to my website, danielpackard.com. I like things simple. My name's Daniel Packard. Go to danielpackard.com. And there you're going to see an opportunity to book a free coaching call with me. Once you book that free coaching call with me, I'm going to send you two things. One is this list of 28 ways that you should be taking care of your nervous system but aren't. And that will be profoundly illuminating because it's going to make sense why you're feeling all this nervousness. And trust me, it's not your past and your childhood. You can't blame your parents anymore. That's the only downside. You can't blame your parents anymore. Sorry. You're also going to get the very same training that Jeffrey tried, that he said at the very end, he felt, I think, calmer, more energized. You're going to get that training. It's called From Stuck to Unstoppable, and it is going to be profoundly illuminating. So much valuable content that I want the world to know. It's what these experts missed. How they missed it, I don't know. And you're going to see there's a very simple, clear way out of this pain and this hamster wheel that you're stuck in. And then we're going to teach you one of our innovative techniques that you can apply to your nervous system. And you will feel a feeling of calm and confidence that you maybe haven't felt. I had a client who just from the 90-minute training said he felt a feeling of calm that he hadn't felt since childhood. And that's from applying our 1 5-minute technique. So please, I invite you, if you'd like to see what's possible and have some hope, go to danielpackard.com, book the free coaching call, get the materials, get the training. And then after you've gone through the training, we'll have that coaching call you booked. And I'm going to listen to your experience with the training. And I'm going to listen to your specific experience and show you how to get more results faster with what you learned. Why? Because we care. We want to give people results because my dad said results matter.
Absolutely. And again, Deep Nation, that is all in the show notes. It's a point and click. So, all of this said, Daniel, sadly, and I really mean that sadly, it is wrap up time. And for this, it's a tradition here on the Deep podcast. I have both the privilege and honor for every guest to ask the same question. It's a really fun question. So, let me set this up for you. When you think of the movie Back to the Future, you have that magical DeLorean car that will take you to any point in time. So, Daniel, it's now tomorrow morning. And here's the fun part. You look outside your window. Not only do you see the DeLorean car curbside, the door is open. You're going to now go in and you're going to go back in time to any point in your life. Perhaps it's Daniel as a young child, a teenager, whatever point in time it would be. What would you tell your younger self in terms of life lessons or life wisdom? Or, hey, Daniel, do this, but don't do that. What would that sound like?
I really think I would tell a younger me what we discovered, which is if you notice yourself afraid and you notice you're just not being the person you want to be and live the life you want to live, there's nothing wrong with you. And there's a little system in your body that needs love and care. And you're never going to get told to take care of it. In fact, you're going to be told to neglect yourself. And I want you to know, brush and floss, get enough sleep, drink enough water, eat the food pyramid, but don't forget that nervous system, little Daniel, because if you do, it's going to be a life full of nervousness. So nobody's going to tell you to take care of this system. So 50 years before older Daniel figured it out, start taking care of that nervous system so you can be consistently calm and confident and be the most beautiful little boy you were meant to be.
Wow, I can hear that passion and that emotion just welling up, Daniel, as you're sharing that, but really take care of your nervous system, and doing that brings out the best version of ourselves, not only just for us, but for all those around us. It's a wonderful message. Deep Wealth Nation, hope you are listening to that. And Daniel, I know you shared this just before. So if someone wants to get in touch with you, they want to speak with you, they're going to go to your website. And again, we have it in the show notes at danielpackard.com. They're going to book a call with you. And that's where you're going to send those 28, that PDF of the 28 different emotions going on there. And they can learn a little bit about themselves. And to confirm, so that is the best way to reach out to you and speak with you?
100%. danielpackard.com. And again, they book a call, they get the 28 ways and the 90-minute training. That's the most valuable thing, because that'll give them that deep dive experience that will make this so much more valuable. And most importantly, the technique that they learn, that they apply to their nervous system so that they can feel this really working. Otherwise, it's just me talking. Again, I want to give your audience a result that they can trust, because people are skeptical. So to answer your question, danielpackard.com to get all that.
There you have it, Deep Wealth Nation. So reach out to Daniel. You'll have that free call with him. You'll get that free 90-minute program. It's an amazing one. It is worth the time, the effort to go through that. You'll be a whole lot better coming out of that. And Daniel, it's official. Congratulations. This is a wrap. And as we love to say here at Deep Wealth, may you continue to thrive and prosper while you remain healthy and safe. Thank you so much.
It was my honor. Thanks for having me, Jeffrey.
So there you have it, Deep Wealth Nation. What did you think? So with all that said, and as we wrap it up, I have another question for you. Actually, it's more of a personal favor. Did you find this episode helpful? Have you found other episodes of the Deep Wealth Podcast empowering and a game changer for your journey? And if you said yes, and I really hope you did, I have a small but really meaningful way that you can actually help us out and keep these episodes coming to you. Are you ready for it? The dramatic pause. I'll just wait a moment. Drum roll, please. Subscribe. Please subscribe to the Deep Wealth Podcast on your favorite podcast channel. When you subscribe to the Deep Wealth Podcast, you're saving yourself time. Every episode automatically comes to you. And I want you to know that we meticulously craft every one of our episodes to have impactful strategies, stories, expert insights that are designed to help you grow your profits, increase the value of your business, and yes, even optimize your post-exit life and your life right now, whatever you want that to look like. And every time you subscribe and a fellow entrepreneur subscribes, it's a testament to how together, yes, we are changing the social fabric of society. One business owner at a time, one liquidity event at a time. So don't let the momentum stop here. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast channel. You'll never miss an episode. You'll be the first to hear from the top industry leaders, the innovators, the disruptors that are really changing and shaping the business world. And maybe you're commuting, maybe you're at the gym, maybe you're taking a well-deserved break that we spoke all about on this episode. The Deep Wealth Podcast, it's your reliable source for the next big idea that could literally revolutionize your business. So once again, please hit that subscribe button, stay connected, inspired, and ahead of the curve. And again, your next big breakthrough moment, it might just be one episode away. Maybe it was even this episode. So all that said, Thank you so much for listening. And remember, your wealth isn't just about the money in the bank, it's about the depth of your journey and the impact that you're creating. So let's continue this journey together. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for listening to this episode. And as we love to say here at Deep Wealth, may you continue to thrive and prosper while you remain healthy and safe. Thank you so much. God bless.